Hello, time to do another dyno. This is, as you can see, a Citroen BX. Yes, we've gone back to the beginning. First car I dynoed on here, actually no, that's bollocks, it was a Picasso. It wasn't a BX. Oh well, that intro's gone out the window. This is a Citroen BX TZD Turbo. And that means it's probably the most, what's the word? Ubiquitous, possibly? Like infamous, but not bad. Basically, this is the most well-known BX. Like, you can drive down the road in a 16 valve, a GTI or something like that, but the one that people remember from back in the day is normally this one. And there's so much misinformation. People will ask you things like, oh, the 16 valve, that's a 4x4, isn't it? Oh, didn't they do a turbo one of those? No, it's a turbo diesel. So what we've done is gone back to the most well-known BX with lack appeal, apparently. Yeah, this is a TZD Turbo. If you're in the UK, you'll notice it's on an L-Reg. It's quite a late one. This is a 1993 BX. There weren't many of them, but of course, being in a state, the production ended a little bit later than it did with the hatchback. So they did soldier on a little bit. I think the Xantia was out by the time this was built. This is a bog standard car, about 190,000 miles on the clock, which for one of these is actually not that high, to be honest. Personally speaking, and I'm speaking as a BX lover, you know that, I never really gelled with these. I never really got the turbo diesels. I preferred, I'm not really massively into any of the diesels, but the naturally aspirated one kind of fit me better. I don't know what it is. I find these quite laggy. I find them kind of flat at the low revs, and then when the turbo kicks in, yeah, okay, there's a bit of shove there, but it's not amazing. The way people go on about these things, you think they're going to be some sort of rocket ship. But we have to look at things in context, because if you go back into the 80s, when this car came out, this was a game changer. This genuinely was a game changer. Diesels in these days, you'd have been lucky for a diesel this size to have about 60, 70 horsepower. They would be slow, ponderous, heavy, noisy, smelly. I mean, this is still a bit noisy and smelly and a little bit ponderous, but they were a lot worse than that. The engine in these cars, 1.8. Everyone goes, oh, it's a 1.7. No, it's not. It's a 1.8. 1769 cc. That's a 1.8. Citroen just badged it as a 1.7, probably because it was too close to the 1.9. It is a 1.8. Same engine used in the 405 turbo diesel phase 1. Also the 309. In fact, the 205 turbo diesel, 205D turbo, I think had the same engine as this. Although I think they would, now, were they slightly detuned? I'm getting segued back to the BX. Yeah, back in these days, this kind of power that this was making, book figure on this, in metric horsepower, and DIN, with all the ancillaries, 90 horsepower. 90 horsepower. That's equivalent to a 1.6 petrol. Now that doesn't sound impressive, because you think, well, this is 1.8 and it's got a turbo. But you have to remember, diesels aren't as powerful as petrols anyway. That's not what they're about. They're about doing more work, or as much work, but with less energy used to do it. Does that make sense? They don't produce more than a petrol, it's just they don't have to try as hard to do what they do. So the power on this is comparable with a 1.6 BX. If you were to go into other cars, for example, Ford Sierra of the time, 2.3 litre Sierra diesel, when that came out, I think was comparable more to halfway between a 1.3 and a 1.6 Sierra. And bearing in mind the 1.6 Sierra had 75 horsepower, not 90. This was a big deal. In fact, this was the most popular diesel car in the UK for about 4 years on the bounce, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it had the performance, it had the economy. It's not the performance that owners will tell you. I've seen people say these things are flying machines on forums. I've seen owners say that these are, oh, it's got some real overtake and shove. If you think this has, you haven't driven anything with overtake and shove. For what it is, and for the era it came out, very respectable. Very, very respectable. And again, the economy, the bullshittery continues. You see people saying these things get 70 to the gallon. If you think this gets 70 to the gallon, you can't add up. They're about 45. 45. If you do a run, maybe you'll get more. Maybe you'll, nice ginger run somewhere. But again, context. Go back into the time in the past when this came out, and a 1.6 petrol BX, average around town, you're going to be getting 30, 35 to the gallon. This, a sizable jump, 10 mpg more, if not more than that, could be 15 mpg more. Similar power, more torque produced at the flywheel at lower revs, you can start to see why these things caught on. Actually outsold the 1.6. I don't know if that's true. Now, I've put these on here before. This is not new to me, so I kind of know how this is going to go, but I haven't shared one with the group before, so here we are. These are in the PSA stable of cars that do okay. They pretty much do what they're supposed to do. I've had a couple on here that have quietly exceeded what they're supposed to do, and I've had a couple on here which have not quite made it. If it doesn't quite make it, and I'd be surprised if it doesn't, because it does kind of, performance-wise, feels about what it should do, but if it were not to quite make it, it would just be because there is some kind of mechanical issue. We're not looking at this from a point of view of, oh, were they overquoted from the factory, were they underquoted from the factory? I can tell you now, they were about right. It's not going to blow everyone away and do, like, you know, 10 horsepower more than it's meant to, but similarly, it shouldn't embarrass itself either. But we've not had many old diesels on here, have we? So if we're going to do it, might as well do it with one of the legendary diesels. It is the XUD. This is a legendary engine. Under the plastic bonnet on this car, and I think you will always find that turbo diesels have plastic bonnets. I'm making this up as I go along, but I've coined the theory while I'm here. Turbo diesels have this unique bonnet insulation, which basically takes a feed of air through here, up through here above the radiator, through the bonnet lining, and into the top mount intercooler. And for that reason, I'm pretty sure you cannot get a turbo diesel with a metal bonnet. I've literally just thought of that as I'm recording this, so if that turns out to be true, then, well, kneel before me. But as I say, what we've got here is the XUD7TE, which means it is an XUD engine. It is the 1769cc version, and it is turbocharged indirect injection. And basically, yeah, there's a diesel pump there. There's a turbo around the back. There's an intercooler here, as I say. It's got an old school fuel. I don't know why someone's fitted that. It would have originally had the bulb type that later cars have, but these are horrible. These are so troublesome. I don't know why someone's done that. Other than that, not really much to say. I mean, this is pretty much the same engine as the 1905cc. Obviously, there are some differences. You know, the XUD morphed into the HDI, and in a way, kind of continues to this day. But, you know, under the latest, or the very last DW range, which has probably only just gone out of production, I'd have thought. But yeah, very simple engine. It's not cross-flow, the head. The inlet and the exhaust are on the same side, around the back. I've had this car in today to do the rocker cover gasket, which was leaking badly. I've replaced the diesel leak-off pipes, which were leaking, but not badly. And what else did I do? Oh, the rev counter wasn't working. Now it is, which means we can enjoy it in a minute. But yeah, that's all there is to it, really. You probably just want to hear it, don't you? Because it's just like, I know they don't sound amazing, but it's that kind of iconic noise. The sound of taxis. I've got to be honest, it doesn't do much for me, but it does it for a lot of people, I'm aware of that. Right, so we're ready to go. This is actually one of those weird situations where it will probably make less power if I leave the bonnet open, because then that's not working. So what do we reckon? 190,000 miles, 90 horsepower standard with 134 pound-foot of torque. I think the numbers are at 4,000 and 2,000 revs. My gut feeling, I'm going to put it all out there on the line. I'm going for 91 horsepower. I think it's going to do it, and I think it's going to exceed it very slightly because the engine's nice and free spinning. What do you think? Put it below in the comments. Waiting for you to do it. Right, okay. Well, that was fairly smoky. Kind of regretting not having extraction at the moment. we go, windows up. We are ready. Inside the car. I'm going to start in second gear because it's a diesel when I can. So run 2. It's all pretty anticlimactic in here. Near the speedo clattering away. That's flat out. Turbo lag, turbo lag, turbo lag. There's the turbo. That's got a really, I swear they normally rev higher than that. A little bit less smoky that time as well. So I'm guessing it doesn't get its cobwebs blown very often. Definitely making a mess on my floor and covering an engine in soot, but it's fine because that is a BX turbo diesel engine. So 89.1, she's climbed slightly, 131 pound-foot. She's climbing slightly. Funny how it's got a bit of a dip here. Normally you'd expect that to kind of be a bit, I don't know why it's gone flat there. Turbo lag, man, look at this turbo lag. That's atrocious. A modern turbo diesel, it would be about here, or a V8 petrol or something with a bit of grunt. It'd be much broader. That is appalling lag. Just goes to show what the turbo doesn't do anything until 2000 revs at least. But yeah, that's kind of how cars were back then. So well, we'll do one more from the back, see if it can break into the 90s and clip its book time. I mean, in terms of BXs on the leaderboard, obviously I've got the website which has got most of the readings on it. That's my Mark 1 I used to have. That did 92 and apparently was supposed to have 92. There was a 14 on here, but I think we ran out of space. And the 14 did what it was meant to do. I've had a GT on here, a BX GT, and that did what it was meant to do. 105, so yeah. I mean, that done 513,000 miles, that HDI. And it only lost 2 horsepower. So, oh, that engine there, that's a 1.9 TD. That was 2 down on what it was supposed to be. They're supposed to be 92. This one is supposed to be 90, and we're getting close. Let's give it one more go from the back, nice and smoky to ruin the new phone. Well, there we go. The third run. Not a smoky, so I think the smoke is slowly clearing. There's a result on the screen. Oh, there's a dip in it. There's a nasty dip. Still in, oh dear. She's still in the 89s. I started the run from earlier, so I started at 25 miles an hour this time. Just to see what happened with the torque, and none. Turbo! VTEC kicked in. Yeah, that's not very happy, is it? But I mean, that's just a fart. The other 2 runs were fine. It didn't have that. And to be honest, how often does it get rev that high? Well, I say rev that high. That's 3,500 revs. That's the bizarre thing. This thing's topping out here. This is where the limiter's cut in. So it's just over 4,000 revs. I thought they revved higher than that. Although it's a mechanical pump, so I'm guessing the governor on it is adjustable. Maybe someone's been very conservative is the word with it. But yeah, well, it's pretty much done. Maybe I was going a bit optimistic then, but I thought it would do about 90 something. But yeah, I've had plenty on here come on and do 88, 89, 87. So it's there or thereabouts where they all are after 190,000 miles. And yeah, it's now clogged up my throat. My throat is pretty sore. Cheers for that. So there we go. A BX turbo diesel 89, supposed to have 90. Not particularly thrilling, I admit, but these are solid. These are solid cars, you can see that. These engines are good as gold. They are tough as old boots. Keep on top of the cooling systems on them. I don't think you'll get any trouble out of them, to be honest with you. But if you like seeing the dyno videos with cars like this, which you don't normally see very often, there is a whole playlist of these. There's loads of cars in there that I've done, and there will be more to come. I mean, there's a Trabant in there. There's a BX 1.4. There's a Skoda Felicia 1.6. There's a Daihatsu Sirion. There's all sorts of Peugeot 106s. There are TVRs, there are Porsches. It's kind of weird how it's all going, really. There's a Suzuki Ignis Sport, which happened recently. And in fact, at the time I'm saying this, I haven't released that video, but I can say it because by the time this comes out, it will have been released. There are lots in there, and they're arranged in different tables. There's production class, modified class, and they are arranged by the highest percentage relative to book figure. So this is going to be in the minuses because it's not made book figure, but it's going to be in the middle of the table roughly, which is there or thereabouts. So yeah, if you like seeing the dyno videos, there's more of those. And otherwise, I will put a link to the tables in the chat, stroke comments, stroke description thing. But until then, I'm going to go and clear my throat.